Hi everybody, this is the Gamer Who Dev. In this video, we'll learn how to fix the lit dark mode issue. If you're facing this issue, which is when you start Unreal and you have this scene and you have everything dark like you see in this scene, the problem is coming for your configuration or your graphic card. Mostly it's the graphic card and the way it handles anti-aliasing. So to prove that, just we start by fixing the easiest way. So what we have to do, you go to show, then you just have to uncheck anti-aliasing altogether. This means that Unreal will no longer use anti-aliasing in your scene. And you can see that if you check this box, you can have your scene back and you can start working on your scene like you used to work on any other PC. So before going further, I want you to see my specs. My specs are really simple. You can see that I'm using an old Windows 8 machine with the 4 gigs of RAM. That's it. And an Intel i5 processor. And for the graphic card, you can see that I'm using an Intel HD graphic family card, which is the basic, really basic graphic card you can have in your PC. So the issue you are facing is coming from anti-aliasing. But if you start another scene, let's say we start with another new level, and we start with an empty level, you can see that the problem is still here. So everything you have to do is to start for each scene and you uncheck the anti-aliasing. But your issue will not stop here, because even if you uncheck this checkbox, you can see that if we start the play button, we still have our scene totally black. So the only way to fix that definitely in your project is you have to go to the project settings. So you can see right now I already fixed it. If I put back anti-aliasing, it goes back to dark. So to fix this the best way, you do have to go to the project settings. Make sure that you have your project go to all settings, and in all settings you can see the anti-aliasing way. By default, Unreal Engine uses the temporal anti-aliasing. This is good and would be handled great with advanced graphic cards like NVIDIA or like AMD. It would be great. But if you're having an Intel HD card like mine, the only way to fix your problem, either you say none, that's to say you stop anti-aliasing in your project, which is not great because we need anti-aliasing to have a good graphics in our game. And the only way to fix it is to choose either FX anti-aliasing or MS anti-aliasing. The difference between two, you can have it in your definition of anti-aliasing, and for that I found a great article in the internet. I will leave you the link to this site in the description, and it gives a really good fixes if you have a low rate in your game, and by the way explains how you can get better performance by reducing anti-aliasing. And he gives a really good explanation right now when he says that anti-aliasing smooths out the jagged edges, an artifact called aliasing that appears on digital object made out of square pixels. Anti-aliasing techniques take sample of pixel on screen in order to guess the correct color of neighboring pixels, then fill in the gaps to clean the sawtooth edge. So going back to our project, we start by fixing by choosing FXAA. I will choose FXAA because in the article he says that the best way to use it is to have FXAA, which is the less GPU intensive. Knowing that we have a base GPU like Intel, it would be great to have the less GPU intensive, which is FXAA. So I'm gonna choose this one and just go back and save everything in my project. So I can save and see that if I do anti-aliasing right now, I can go back to anti-aliasing. I am not having no issue at all. So going back to our scene, you can see right now how you can explain anti-aliasing. So remember that we already start by unchecking the anti-aliasing, and you can see the effect right now in your scene. So if you work in your 11, you can see if I zoom on the object, you can see the edges we were talking about in the definition of anti-aliasing, and you can see right now that we are having these edges like a chainsaw, okay, and it is not really beautiful, and we want to have rid of that in our scene. So the best way to go is to put on again anti-aliasing, and this time you can see that the dark mode and the dark scene has totally faded. So that's it for this video. If you like the content, please share it, please subscribe to the channel, give the thumbs up, and I hope you see you in another video.